is Teresa, and she's a wonderful expert with small business. She has many small business clients out in Durham region, and I'm going to pass this off to you.
Thank you, Carla. Really good to be here to be able to present today. Some of my background as to why I decided to be in this small business world was that I used networking as a tool my entire life. It got me to 3 different countries. I came to Canada in 1999 and I started a business here with the business immigration visa, and I really got here because of the network that I had. And when I landed here, I knew nobody. I didn't have any clients. And we were able to grow our business to, in 18 months, to $4 million, and we had 8 staff members. So, that was using my network that I got to that. And so to me, I found that, the network, it really is the most powerful thing you can have, and that's what I'm going to go through as we kind of get started. So my next slide, please, Carla. It's just showing you a little bit about who we are. So BACD is the Business Advisor Center of Durham. There's 57 small business enterprise centers in Ontario, and we happen to be one of those. And most of us are fairly small, but we really hope to provide a valuable service to the businesses. And our mission really is to help launch, accelerate, and sustain businesses, help them get the skills and the knowledge and the information that they need to run their businesses successfully. For the most part, these services are at no charge to you, and many of our clients tell us it's like the best thing they've ever had an access to, is just somewhere to go that someone knows, so that all these questions you have when you start your business or when you're running your business and growing your business, you have a place to go and answer and get some answers. Next slide. Carla? This just tells you a little bit about us. We are a not-for-profit. We do one-on-one consultations, seminars, and any workshops really to do with small business. Next slide, please. This is one of my favorite slides. It's really just about, we truly are connected to each other, and through many different ways. But it used to be years ago the 6 degrees of separation, and now I think it's down to 2 degrees of separation thanks to social media. So next slide, please. When we think of social media, everybody today thinks it's the new thing. It's the new kid on the block. It's the new, shiny bauble that we all have to reach for, when really it isn't. Social is still the old business. If you think about years ago, how people used to congregate around their churches or around the town square, or really just in community, this was still social. It was just in a different format. Social today is a lot online. However, I still think, sales and relationships are a face-to-face game. You can start online, but you at some point need to take it offline, or you can start offline and take it online. I think both still need to exist. Yes, there's lots of talk out in the community or out in the world, really, that it can all be online. But my opinion is that really to deepen relationships, that you need to build a relationship face-to-face, eyeballs to eyeballs. Next slide, please. This slide just goes into a little bit more detail about the degrees of separation and being online. It's just really how connected we are. When you look at LinkedIn, if any of you have a LinkedIn profile, you could see very quickly whether it's a first degree, a second degree, or a third degree that you know. And most of the time, if you pick up somebody's name on there you don't know, there's someone in your network that can connect you. And that's really what this slide talks about, is that, really think about how connected you are. And if you want to grow your business, how can you use that? How can you use that network to help grow your business? Next slide. And this is an old adage which still rings true. People do business with people they like. And so the more likable you are, the more business you're likely to get. And we'll talk through this as we go, but really it is about being likable and about liking other people. There's some spiritual principles even to networking, about giving in order to get. And this is what we're going to work through today. Likability is achieved through rapport, so building rapport with people. If people don't know who you are, they can't buy from you, no matter how powerful a message you carry. It's a pretty simple set of facts. The more visibility you have, the more people know about you. The more people know about you, the more opportunities you'll have. And the more opportunities you have, the more money you'll make doing what you love and impacting people's lives. So when you think of networking, really there's many things that it is. It's social, it's work, it's connecting, relationship building, and really making friends. I've had a couple of clients over the years who are really petrified of networking, and I just turn it around and say, just think of it as making friends with people. It's not, also think of networking as not about closing a sale, it's about opening a relationship. So when you go to networking events, and I've been to very many in my time. In fact, I worked at a Chamber of Commerce for 5 years and had a lot of opportunity to network. And changing my opinion of how I connect at these events, which is opening a relationship, just talking to people and not expecting anything, really made a difference to my success and to me even enjoying being at the event. So when you think of the definition of networking, it really is a long-term activity whereby an extended group of people with similar interests and concerns interact and remain in informal contact for mutual assistance or even for support. So when you think of networking, you really need to think about it as it's a long-term activity, and that what you do today is what you're building for your future. So next slide, please. So some of my visuals are not the greatest, some of the JPEGs on them, but really I want you to get the gist of is that the richest people in the world look for and build networks. And really that's where your wealth is in your network. So next slide, please. So think of networking as success, and success really is selling. When you think about and you see this little guy on here, but really what it's about is you getting your need or requirement or request across to someone else. And how would you do that? You really do that through persuasion techniques. And if you think maybe of children or your teenage daughter who wants to go out to with a group of friends on Friday night, she sets the whole stage for you and says, you know what, I want to go out just with a couple of girls, and we're just going to go to their house, and the parents are going to be there. So she's doing a whole sales pitch on you to say, please, let me go and be with my friends. So, and being in your own business, you have to think that everything you do in the business really is a sale, and and you're using your selling skills to do that. So whether you're an author selling a book, an accountant selling services, an inventor selling an idea, or an executive selling a new strategy, or even a job seeker selling yourself, success in life is really success in sales. So learn strategies, skills, and techniques that can help you achieve greater success. And networking really is just part of that, just learning some tips and tricks and really how to be able to do that. So some of the things you could do is become a subject matter expert, become a brand expert, make friends, find suppliers, find trusted sources that you can refer to, find people that you can collaborate with, strategic alliances. So like businesses, maybe there's alliances. So if you're a mortgage broker, maybe you could also have a relationship with a realtor. You could have a relationship with a home inspector, with a photographer, with a home stager. So creating those alliances around you so that you become top of mind to the clients or the potential clients you're working with because you have this network. Become a true connector. So help other people connect. So what I mean by that is when you're at a networking event, if you see someone standing by themselves, go over there and introduce yourself. And they are just as uncomfortable as you are at this event. You know, make them feel comfortable about being there. Ask them questions, and then find someone else that's in your group that's just as uncomfortable or standing by themselves, or it just looks like they need help. Bring them into your group. Connect the two that are working with you. Connect them together. Really, what do you stand to lose or gain? You stand to gain a lot more than you would lose by bringing people together. Next slide, please. So the old adage used to be, it's who you know, but really it's who knows you. And this is what you build in networking, is you're building this social environment of people who know who you are. So our network is really one of the greatest personal assets that we can have. So something that we really need to nurture and work on. Make sure that you stay in front of your network and continually add value. Over time, you'll be seen as a credible source. You'll be seen as the person that people want to go to, or the person where people go to even ask a question because they know that you know other people and can help. Connect people in your network, as I said earlier, and help them find synergies. And for yourself, try and speak in public or private events. Speak about your industry and your expertise. Write articles. Update your network frequently, both by phone and by email, by using your social media channels. Maybe even host your own meetings to bring people together. Stay active and visible in your business community. Attend events. Volunteer your time. Mentor people. Connect people. It's all really important things to do. And they don't have to take a lot of time. Like, you just have to start somewhere. Next slide, please. So your network really is your social capital, and social capital is really your worth, your wealth, sorry. So, and what does your network, what is it made of? It's different networks that have the feeling of trust and safety. There's reciprocity. There's participation in your network. And then, who are the people that you bring together? What is the diversity of your group? What do they belong to? What groups do they belong to? And it's really social capital makes up a long-term asset for you as a business owner and as an individual. Next slide, please. So just some things to think about. Who are the most influential people you know? How do you stay in touch with them? Would they care if you stayed in touch? Do they know what you've been up to? What do you think they're looking for? And would they think of you if they needed your services? And what value could you provide to them? Next slide. Next slide, please. So this is a piece on branding. When you look at that, it's really what is your brand? So and when you think of the word brand, it's not just the word, the visual of Apple or the visual of McDonald's. It really is about, the experiences, your writing, your website, your business card, your customer interactions, your networking. Your brand really makes up everything that people think about when they think of your business. Next slide. And what I love about this is not everybody loves KISS, and yes, they're not necessarily the best band, but everybody knows who they are because they are different. They are men, a group of men who, I don't know whether they all play their instruments all that well, although I really like watching Gene Simmons. I think he's pretty funny. Next slide, please, Carla. The next slide just talks about there's lots of makeup, lots of pyrotechnics, big egos, and a real stage presence. They stand out. If you have them move to the next slide. And I use this because everybody just about knows who KISS is, and I use this as an analogy because you really want to stand out. And when you think at the different events that you go to and you've gone and you think you walk in and you're in financial services and you go, oh, there's like 5 other financial services people here. And generally there is. It is a very competitive market, but you can stand out. People buy you because they like you. And so I always say, yes, there might be 5 other people, but when I chose to do my financial services, I only chose one person to do it with. And that was someone that had stood out in my mind as someone that had been there a long time, someone who had developed a credible reputation, and someone that I always saw at these events, and that's who I gave my business to. And when you look back to the purchases and decisions you've made in your own business, think back to why you chose those people. There was a reason for it. And so you want to get that same feeling going on about people choosing your business, and choosing your service. Next slide. So Lady Gaga, she's, makes fun, good music, in my opinion, but some of her dress code, really makes her stand out, and that's really what she's going for. She wants followers to go for her, and she wants to make a noise in the world, and this is how she does it, by being so very different to the mainstream. Next slide. A little bit more on that. So when you think of your brand, stand out and attract. Do you want to be Apple or Mini, or would you like to be Toyota, Corolla, or Windows? Decide what you want to be and how you're going to stand out, how you're going to differentiate yourself. Above all, next slide, be consistent in how you're going to be that brand. Make it consistent, make your colors consistent, and make the brand experience consistent. And when you're at these networking events, your business card is important. How it looks is important. So I always suggest when you are starting out a business or have your business, have the best that you can afford. Have the best business card that looks clean, and less is always more. Make it stand out, make it be consistent, and make it be eye-catching. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So build a tribe around you, so people that are your sales force or your fan base. And Harley Davidson and Apple, they are some of the most powerful brands in the world, and particularly Harley Davidson. I don't know if anybody's ever read their book, but they have a really good story behind them in terms of the brand and how powerful this brand is. So, when you think of your businesses, build this tribe behind you and with you that will be your brand ambassadors. Next slide. So just ideas on how to network. Next slide. Be quirky. Smile a lot. They say people that smile actually have a higher success rate in many, many different things. So being smiling and easy and approachable is really very important. When you go into a networking event, I'm sure you see people and you walk in and you don't see them looking at you or trying to smile, that you feel uncomfortable. So turn that around and you be the one that's smiling and approachable and making it easy for people to talk to you. First impressions count. I'm sure you know that. Unfortunately, it is the case where you are judged by the cover instead of by the inside of the book. Something I wish was never the case. But people, we all, and it's not necessary that we judge, but I think we try and, in our minds, piece together, different constructs of our own learning style to make sense of who we're seeing or what we are learning. And we do that by going back into our memory and looking at different ways that we learn. Next slide, please. So this model just talks a little bit about the ideal model of how you would network. So the one-to-one contact is less than the one-to-many. And we do that because if you want to build a network of 10,000 people, it's not going to be that easy to start one-on-one. So really it's about connecting one-on-one, but creating really deep relationships with those people who could be your fans and your sales force. And then they talk about you, and so it grows from there. It becomes an exponential viral network. We do that by just, meeting with one-on-one with people. And the clients become your community. Those are your fans. And then your community comes back to you either through one or two people that are saying, yes, I want your services, I need your help, or, connect me to these people. And this is how you build your network. I'm sure most of you have seen people at networking events, and it's kind of like they're a magnet. They draw all these people to them. And, when I worked at the Chamber of Commerce, the one thing I noticed about the people that were those magnets is that they weren't necessarily magnety, but what they did have was the elements of being open, being smiling, being positive, helping other people, and they really had been standing the test of time. They'd been there a long time and gotten to know people. And I think that's one of the most important things is I found that often those who lasted the longest are the ones who really succeeded. Those who really put the effort and time into it are the ones who really succeeded. Your personal brand is how people perceive you in the marketplace. So you want to make sure that your brand is positive. In fact, your brand is your networking identity. Your actions, your demeanor, your personality, your expertise, and your appearance is all important considerations that make up your brand. So when interacting with others, you want to make sure that you come across as professional and that you leave a great impression. Make sure that you're dressed appropriately for each situation, do some research, or even ask about the appropriate attire for these events or these meetings that you're going to attend. If you don't know, the safe bet is always to wear professional attire. You'll rarely be overdressed and you'll always feel $1 million. I mean, it's important, if you go to meetings, important to dress to the level of the people that you are meeting with, or to, if you're meeting with senior executives, to wear professional dress. You want to set a great impression for yourself. You want to find out what others are wearing by researching, by using the website, by asking people who've attended in the past. Either way, you can't ever go wrong if you're professional attire or business dress. It's not always an idea to dress casually if you want to come across as a business professional. One of the events I used to attend was a guy who used to do painting, and he used to show up in his painting shorts and vest. And I mean, it was certainly his industry, but I think people used to make comments about it that, wow, why didn't, we had everybody in suit and tie, and then he was in this uniform. Now, he could change. His uniform could be a set of overalls, which might be better received than a short. So just consider those kinds of things, that you always want to put your best foot forward and come across as a professional. So take your appearance seriously, because it is a big part of your personal brand. When you get to these events, use eye contact. Make sure that you're neat, your expression is open, your greeting or your handshake is strong, and it's a web-to-web contact. And, be interesting to people. Smile, look at them. Next slide, please. So I'm sure you've been to events where you see this happening, where people are just pushing cards at you, and that is not networking. In fact, a lot of people that I know who go to networking events today don't even hand out their card. They really are there to ask about other people and ask about the people they're meeting. Invariably, it gets around to the card, but they don't start the conversation off with a card. So other ways to offend people when you're at networking events is pouncing on people, premature solicitations, so asking for a sale or trying to get a sell, pressurizing people, treating them like leeches, being insincere, being fast, and also trying to cut the conversation off and move on to the next one if it's not interesting. There are ways to do that, and to do it a lot more subtly and to not offend, because you really want to leave the best impression with everybody that you meet. So when we talk about how to network, some of the things that you can do is set goals for building your network. Maybe you set the goal of going to one event a year, or one event a week. And if you do that, say you only go out 47 weeks of the year and 4 other weeks you're at home, or 5 other weeks you're not. Maybe you meet 5 to 7 people at each of these events. If you think of that, that's 285 to 329 new contacts. And that doesn't happen by sitting at your desk. You have to be in front of people. And so if you think that each one of these contacts generally knows 250 people, well, if you multiply that, that's 82,000 people that you have a connection to. True connection and true connecting is about changing your thinking from what can the people I meet do for me to what can I do for them. How can I be a connector? How can I share information? Can I make them feel more comfortable by being interested in them? So one of the other things, hang out with positive people, be sincerely interested in people, focus on the other person, and offer your help. Be a knowledge broker. Act like the host. 80% of people are really uncomfortable with networking. And even yourself, if you turn this around and don't think about yourself in these situations, even you become more comfortable because you're focusing on someone else. The reason the light is off you. Next slide, please. So some ideas on where to network. I'm sure that you have some in mind. If you just move over to the next slide, I'll give you some ideas. But really, I think of networking as you can do it anywhere and everywhere. Everywhere there's more than one person, you can do the networking. and you can connect with people. I'm sure some of you in your communities have the Snap newspaper or even the Snap calendar online. There's many, many events that you can go to and show up at and be a supporter of your community. That could be your opening line of why you're in these places, is because I'm here to support my community. I'm here to support small business. I'm here to support my friend or someone that I know. I met this person here. There's always a reason why you can be at some of these events. So how to be unsuccessful in networking, we talked a little bit about that, really just being there about you instead of thinking of other people, not making eye contact, looking around the room while you're talking to someone instead of looking at them, perhaps asking insincere questions, maybe checking your phone while you're there, greeting someone with your business card, trying to sell instead of engaging people, and then trying to bring the conversation around to your business or your point or your sale. So be careful when you do those things. Also, maybe when you're there, you say you're trying to close the sale or book a meeting or really just close it up. And I think maybe this is not the time. This is the opening of a relationship. This is the start. Maybe take it on and go for a coffee or maybe a phone conversation. And really listen more than you talk. Practice active listening. Next slide, please. I read somewhere that the elevator pitch is going the way of the dodo bird, and that what's coming up in place is having 10 different pitches. And I read this, and it's having a one-word pitch, having a visual pitch, having a 140-character pitch is one of the other ideas that they have. So I think if you're in business for a while, I'm sure that you have different pitches at different times, and that's really what this is talking to, is really have what's in it for them, have the message. Next slide, please. Think of your pitch as being a teaser and really not something that constrains someone by, I've been in business for 15 years and I work out of Whitby and that makes it great for my clients. It really doesn't tell somebody what you do and why they should be using you. So next slide, please. When you create your elevator pitch, think of it as being short and sweet. Think about it as opening the door to dialogue and to asking questions, and make an offer. Next slide, please. Just a little bit of structure. I know one of the things our clients struggle the most with really is their pitch or their statement, their vision statement or their mission statement of what they do. So really think about who is your target customer and what is the need or what is the problem that they have that you're trying to solve. And then what is your product or your service and what category in that customer, what market category do you serve? What's the most important key benefit of your product, unlike any of the competition? And what's the differentiator of that product? And the differentiator really is the hook. It's the most unusual, exciting, dramatic, or humorous aspect of what you offer. It's generally one sentence long, and it's often a question that has a high probability of being answered with an affirmative, or with a yes, or tell me more, or I'd love to know more. Well, that's interesting. And it's also the close, because it's asking people to move forward, to say yes, or to ask for more. So make that in a way that it's a request or a question. Next slide, please. So this slide really is just about how do you remember people's names, because you're going to meet 5 to 7 people at each event. You're going to go to one event, that could mean 20 to 30 people a month. That's a lot of people to remember. So the next slide is really a shake their hand and ask their name, say their name, spell their name, and then use the you statement. It was nice to meet you, Mary. So again, shake their hand, look in their eyes, ask their name, say their name, spell their name, probably not out loud in your head, and then use the you statement, turning it around. Next slide. part of really creating success is learning to be a great storyteller. I'm sure you've seen that this has been, there's a lot of marketing and sales blogs that I follow, or business blogs, and storytelling really is one of the ways to differentiate yourself and to really stand out. Being a storyteller really draws people in, makes it exciting and interesting, and is a really good way for you to promote who you are. Some of the other notes: do help others. Give support and help without expecting anything in return. Be the best that you can be, and really work hard at adding value to every connection. Some of the other rules that I like to live by is don't wait to be asked for help. If you get to these events and you're a little early, maybe ask, how can I help? Is there anything I can do to help? Sometimes I used to stand right next to the people greeting and greet the new people coming in, because then I wouldn't be the one standing in the corner by myself. And when you're asked to help, don't miss the opportunity. Take it. You never know where it will take you. Compliment people, encourage them. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. And most people really value that feedback, even more than money. Don't be stingy with your compliments. When someone does something you admire, let them know. We talked earlier, introduce people. You can actively introduce two people you know who will benefit by knowing each other. Or you can invite several people to come together. Be friendly. If someone you don't know tries to start a conversation with you, don't ignore them. Don't be shy about initiating conversations with strangers. Many times others are just as afraid to speak to you. And so by you reaching out to them, you break down those barriers. Take a chance, be bold, and take risks. Be open. Don't limit your friendships. You never know where they could lead. Think the best of people and try not to judge. Spoken language is often fraught with misinterpretation. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Be grateful and express it often. Don't take your network for granted. It's your network of friends that will help you. Express your gratitude, keep things moving, and keep it positive. And then, once you've been to these events, what are you going to do? If you can move to the next slide, Carla. What are we going to do with all those business cards? And most times, even I'm very guilty of having them wrapped up in a rubber band instead of doing something with the card. But when you think of these cards, what can we do with them? Often when I'm at events now, I make a note on the back with the dates, where I was and what event. And I make a note, yes, they want to be on my newsletter, or yes, I would like to connect with them, or, we'll just hold on to them. Scan them into your computer. You can do that through many different ways. There's apps on your phone that you can use. I think they're called Card Munch, and there's Mail Card. I could give those to you and give those to Carla. There's also Evernote Hello that I use to connect with people, and if they have a LinkedIn or a Facebook profile, it asks you immediately if you want to connect. What I do after meeting people, within 24 to 48 hours, send either a handwritten card or an email to say, thank you, it was great to meet you. And, do that with everybody you meet. Connect on social media, follow up to book a coffee or a meeting, send a thank you card. People love to receive thank you cards in the mail. It's not something they get a lot, and so it does stand out. It does make you different, and people remember. Next slide, please. So one of the most important stats is that if you want to be better than 95% of your competition, follow up. And I'm sure many of us have done this. I do it. I get all these cards, and sometimes I only follow up with one of the people. And I don't know how many opportunities I let go by not following up by the rest, because I never tracked it. But it really is an important thing to do. And most of the time, the first, the second, or the third contact are not the ones that make you successful. When I was in sales, it was generally like 7 to 10 times of connecting with that individual before we actually moved it to the next stage. We suggest 4 touches in 10 days to make them leads. And use a different mix of contact methods. Use email, use the phone, use mail, use social media. Maybe you see them at another event. Get in front of them. Really, follow-up is the most the most important thing to anything you're doing. I cannot stress that enough. You can go out to as many events as you like, and you can really go out for and meet 100 people a week. But if you're not following up and then bringing them into your network, then you really are wasting every one of those opportunities. So even if you start small and you only meet 2 people, follow up with both of them and really try and take it to the next level. Yes, you're going to meet people that there is going to be no value or there's going to be nothing that you can do to work together, but they're still part of your network. You never know when you might need them. Some of the books that I've read on networking success were, there was 4 books that I read that I really enjoyed. It was Work the Pond, and he was the CEO of the Vancouver Board of Trade for many years. It was Darcy Rezac. Another book I read was Love is the Killer App, and it really is just about, being great, being sincere, being a good person, being positive. Another book that I read was called Never Eat Alone, and it was really about building that net worth. And another book was Enchantment by Guy Kawasaki, which was enchanting your customers and being enchanted by them. So things I do to build my network is send 4 cards a week. Make these handwritten notes every week to those in your network, to help those that are in your network and to people you want in your network. The reasons that you can use to be writing these cards could be thank you, congratulations, thought you should know, thought this may be of interest to you. Could be someone's birthday, their anniversary, could be sympathy, could be appreciation. When you take away bills and the junk mail that's received, most people really don't get too much in the mail. So be the best thing that happened today to that person. Make 4 calls a day. Do it for many of the same reasons that I just talked about, but although and make it warm and personal. And it could be really nice to get a nice message from someone just saying, I was thinking of you, love to get together for a coffee. And these can go a really long way. Even if you leave a voicemail, your outreach will be noticed and appreciated. Develop 4 new contacts a week. You never know when you'll make a great new connection for you or for someone in your network. Strike up a conversation while standing in the grocery line, ride an elevator, or standing next to a stranger. Believe in the 2 degrees of separation and recognize that a new person you meet today could become a friend, an alliance, or even a new customer. Play matchmaker. We talked about that earlier. The best networkers listen to others, understand their needs, and share their resources. Referrals are a wonderful and strategic introduction to the best type of referrals. So offer to introduce someone in your network to one another. It could be a supplier to a customer or a mentor or a resource. You can do this through emails, through 3-way calls, or bringing people together for coffee or lunch. Really, there's many, many different ways that you can do to bring a network together. And just think about it as making friends. If that's one thing I can say is like take the pain and the stress out of it and think of it as making friends for your business and for yourself, because you just never know where that could take you. So thank you. That concludes my presentation. If anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer.
That was great. I have some questions as we let everybody start to come in. So I'm just actually going to stop the recording right now.